Hey GLS fam! Loving the content? Help keep the good vibes flowing by subscribing. Or, if you're feeling extra awesome, send a super thanks. Or buy me a coffee using the link below. Your support means the world to me, and every bit helps me create more of the stories you love. Thank you for being amazing, and stay tuned for even more goodness coming your way soon. Love you always.
He was supposed to be my doctor, nothing more. But from the moment her eyes met mine, every line blurred. What began as a search for answers turned into something far more dangerous. An ache I couldn't escape and a connection neither of us could deny. This is a story of desire tangled with danger, of love discovered in the unlikeliest place, and the risk of giving in when every rule says you shouldn't. I didn't expect anything unusual when I decided to see a doctor. Honestly, I just thought something was wrong with me. For nearly 3 weeks, I had felt restless, unsettled, and distracted in a way I couldn't explain. It wasn't just at home, it followed me everywhere. At work, I would lose focus halfway through an email. On walks, even something as simple as a breeze brushing against my skin made me tense up as though my body was holding on to something it couldn't let go of. At first, I laughed it off, telling myself it was nothing. But the feeling didn't fade, it grew heavier. I tried everything to shake it off. Long walks, deep breathing, distraction, even ice-cold showers. Nothing worked. Every day felt like an endless cycle of tension and unease. Finally, one morning after another restless night, I realized I couldn't ignore it anymore. I booked a doctor's appointment. When the receptionist asked for details, I kept my explanation simple. I said I wasn't feeling well and asked for a female doctor if possible. I didn't have the courage to explain exactly how lost and uncomfortable I felt. The day of the appointment, I took the afternoon off work and showed up early, nervous and fidgeting. I wore loose jeans, a hoodie, and no makeup. I wasn't there to impress anyone. I just wanted help. But the moment the doctor walked into the room, my breath caught. She was tall, her dark hair pulled neatly back, and the white coat she wore seemed to give her an almost commanding presence. Her eyes were sharp, observant, and steady, like she could see more than I was ready to share. She didn't smile, but she didn't need to. With a calm nod, she simply said, "Come in." Her voice was low, steady, and firm in a way that immediately made me sit up straighter without realizing it. I followed her into the exam room, my nerves buzzing. She introduced herself and asked what brought me in. For a moment I froze. My words tangled with everything I was too embarrassed to admit. After a shaky breath, I finally managed. "I've been feeling physically overwhelmed. A lot of tension. Constantly." She nodded like it was the most natural thing to hear. "What kind of tension?" I hesitated, then said softly, "Like pressure. Restlessness. It doesn't seem to stop." Her expression stayed professional, her tone calm as she typed on her computer. "And how long has this been happening?" "Almost 3 weeks," I said. "Does anything seem to trigger it?" she asked. "Everything," I admitted quickly, then lowered my voice. "Or nothing. It just happens." For the first time, her lips twitched in the faintest hint of a smile before she stood. "I'd like to do a basic physical exam to rule out anything obvious. Is that all right?" I nodded, my heart racing. She guided me to lie back. Her hands were steady, gentle, and sure as she checked my pulse, my breathing, and asked questions about my sleep, my diet, and stress. I tried to answer honestly without revealing too much, afraid she'd see how flustered I was just being near her. Every part of me wanted to focus on the clinical routine of it all, but it was impossible not to notice the warmth of her presence, the way she moved with quiet confidence. When she finally stepped back, she said evenly, "Physically, everything looks fine. But I'd like to see you again. This could be stress-related or possibly tied to something emotional. We'll take it step by step." Her words echoed in me, especially emotional, because deep down I knew she was right. This wasn't only physical. Something else was happening inside me, something I couldn't yet name. I left with a follow-up appointment scheduled, but her voice lingered in my head. "Don't worry. We'll figure it out." The days that followed were harder, not easier. My restlessness hadn't gone away, but now it had a face, a voice, a presence I couldn't stop thinking about. I told myself to cancel the next appointment, that maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I was imagining too much. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't forget her. And for the first time, I didn't feel completely alone in what I was going through. When I returned, she greeted me the same way as before, calm, polite, and direct. No smile, no obvious warmth, yet her eyes seemed to linger just a little longer than necessary. This time the appointment was different. She didn't perform another full physical exam. Instead, she sat across from me, crossed her legs carefully, and asked if I would be comfortable talking more openly about what I'd been feeling. I nodded, so I began to share. I admitted that I wasn't in a relationship, hadn't been with anyone in a long while, and wasn't the type of person who thought about intimacy every day. It's like my body is craving something, I said, and I don't even know what it is. She listened intently, then asked gently, "When it happens, do you feel safe or do you feel scared?" "Both," I confessed. Her head tilted slightly as she studied me. Then she said something that made my stomach tighten. "Sometimes desire isn't only about romance or attraction. Sometimes it comes from unmet needs, emotional, physical, or even the need for closeness. The body often speaks when the mind stays quiet." The way she said intimate made my breath catch. Her eyes were steady, but I thought I saw something else flicker there. Something warmer, more curious. I looked away quickly. "I feel like I'm losing control," I admitted. She leaned forward slightly. "What if that's not a bad thing?" From then on, she suggested we meet weekly. She explained it might help us figure out whether this was stress, hormones, or something else. I didn't care what the reason was. I just knew I wanted to see her again. That became our rhythm. Every week I showed up. She asked questions and I answered, my cheeks warm, my pulse quick. We never touched again after that first exam, but the tension grew quietly between us, like something coiled beneath the surface, waiting. Some weeks I dressed in loose clothes to hide how flustered I felt just sitting across from her. Other weeks I chose fitted jeans as if to remind myself I still had some control. I wasn't sure if I was teasing myself, or her. Maybe on the third or fourth session she asked me a question that stopped me cold. "Do you feel more restless after leaving our sessions?" My mouth went dry. I wanted to deny it, but my silence said enough. Finally I whispered, "Yes." She nodded, calm and clinical. But her eyes told another story. A flicker of warmth, an understanding that unsettled me. "That's helpful," she said softly. "We're getting closer." Closer to what? I didn't ask. But I thought about it all night. The next week I asked her a question of my own. "Do you always make your patients feel this exposed?" For the first time she smiled, just a faint curve of her lips. "Not always," she said. "Just the ones who want to be seen." Her words made my skin tingle. I wanted to be seen by her. One morning I walked into her office completely exhausted, not from lack of sleep but from carrying too much. My body felt restless, my head filled with thoughts I couldn't escape. Before she could even begin her usual questions, I blurted, "I can't take it anymore. I can't focus at work. I can't hold conversations. I'm snapping at people. My mind won't stop racing. It's constant." She studied me quietly, then said, "You've been holding yourself back." "I have to," I said quickly. Her expression stayed professional, but her eyes softened. "Sometimes the pressure doesn't come from overindulging," she explained. "It comes from denying yourself too much. Every time you push away what your body is asking for, you feed the cycle instead of breaking it. What if, instead of fighting it, you allowed yourself to feel?" Her words sank into me. I didn't even know how to respond. She leaned back slightly, her voice steady. "In the meantime, there are healthy, private ways to release that tension. I can recommend something that many women find helpful." She stood, walked to a cabinet, and when she returned, she handed me a small brochure. Its cover read simply, "The Rose." "It's a gentle, discreet device," she said calmly. "Safe, effective, and designed to help with ongoing physical tension. It might give you relief while we continue to explore the emotional side together." I stared at the brochure, my heart pounding. She wasn't joking. She wasn't embarrassed. She was completely serious. And somehow that only made me want to see her again even more. "I can't prescribe you what your body is craving," she said, her voice steady, almost too calm. "But I can suggest ways to make it more manageable." I held the brochure in my hands as if it might burn through my fingers. "And if I use it?" I asked quietly, "like you said, whenever I need to?" She gave the smallest nod. "Exactly. Don't suppress. Let it happen. Let go." Those two words, Let go, sank deep inside me. I hadn't truly done that in so long. When I left her office that day, I didn't wait long before following her advice. And over the days that followed, I noticed a change. My mind felt clearer. My body wasn't as tense. The restlessness didn't vanish completely, but it became something different. Something powerful, electric. By the time our next session came, I recognized the sound of her footsteps in the hallway. I could tell it was her before she even opened the door. When she sat across from me, calm as always, she asked, "How have things been?" "Better," I admitted. Her head tilted slightly. "Did you follow the advice?" I nodded. "It helped a lot." She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. "Do you feel more in control now?" I met her eyes and shook my head. "Not really. I'm not constantly restless anymore. But I'm still thinking about you." The words dropped between us like a stone. For a moment she didn't move. Her lips parted, then pressed closed again. She exhaled slowly. "I see," she said carefully. I braced for rejection. But it didn't come. Instead, she shifted in her chair, her hands folded tighter than before. "You're not the first patient to develop feelings during treatment," she said softly. "This isn't just feelings," I interrupted. "It's hunger, but not just physical. It's how you talk to me, how you look at me, how you make me feel seen. I come here and I don't feel broken. I feel understood." Her throat moved in a small swallow. "And I know you feel it too," I whispered. "Every time you pause before speaking. Every time your eyes linger too long." She closed her eyes for a second. When they opened again, her gaze was sharp, steady. "You're right," she said. "The admission shocked me more than anything." "You're right," she repeated, softer now. "I feel it too. But I can't act on it. Not while you're my patient." My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own voice. "But if I wasn't your patient?" Her answer came low, steady. "Then I wouldn't be sitting across from you right now." The rush that went through me nearly stole my breath. She looked away quickly as if she regretted saying it, but the words had already changed everything. From then on, the sessions remained professional on the surface, but beneath, the tension was unbearable. Her eyes softened when I laughed. Her fingers twitched when our hands brushed by accident. Her voice faltered when our gazes held too long. We were playing with fire and we both knew it. It all came to a breaking point the day I told her I couldn't keep coming. I sat across from her and said, "I think this is our last session." She frowned slightly. "Why?" "You know why." Her lips pressed together. "I want to hear you say it." "Because I want you," I said, my voice unshaking for once. "Not just in passing thoughts or dreams. I can't keep pretending this is still professional." She inhaled slowly, her expression unreadable. "And I'm not asking you to break any rules," I continued. "I'm ending this. After today, you're no longer my doctor." For a moment, the silence was thick. Then she stood and walked toward the door. My heart sank. I thought she was leaving. But instead she turned the lock. The soft click echoed louder than thunder in my chest. When she faced me again, her expression was conflicted, yet her eyes gave her away. "I shouldn't be doing this," she whispered. "You have no idea how long I've been fighting it." I rose to my feet too, my breath unsteady. "You're not my doctor anymore." The air between us was heavy. Charged. Dangerous. We both knew there was no turning back. She moved closer. One step, then another, until she was standing right in front of me. Close enough for me to catch the faint trace of her perfume. Slowly, she raised a hand, brushing her fingers across my cheek. They lingered just beneath my jaw and my skin burned under her touch. "You drive me crazy," she whispered. I leaned into her palm and for the first time I stopped fighting what I felt. Her lips met mine, urgent, hungry, and full of longing. It wasn't polished or careful. It was raw, real, and impossible to hold back. My hands found her waist, pulling her closer as we stumbled through kisses that deepened and quickened. Jackets slipped away, buttons came undone, and in the heat of the moment, we forgot every reason we had held back until now. She guided me down onto the couch, her gaze fixed on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. "I've wanted this since the first day you walked in," she murmured. I whispered back, "No more holding back." "No," she said softly, her voice low near my ear. "Not tonight." And just like that, all the tension that had been building between us finally broke. That night stretched long past midnight. When I finally left her office, my hair was a mess, my clothes wrinkled, and my heart completely undone. But I had never felt so alive, so seen, so full. It wasn't only about physical release. It was about a craving finally answered, a need finally understood. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed, her presence still clinging to my skin and echoing in my mind. I replayed every detail like a secret film. Her voice, her touch, the way she whispered my name. But when I checked my phone, there was nothing. No text, no call, just silence. At first, I told myself to be patient. She had work, clients, responsibilities. But as the hours passed, the silence began to feel heavier. And then my phone buzzed. A message. From her. Her, "Are you free tonight?" Me, "Yes." Her, "Come over." Not my office. My place. My heart nearly stopped. Something about her inviting me into her personal space felt different. Intimate. That evening, I stepped into her apartment. It smelled faintly of jasmine and red wine. She wore a loose sweater and dark leggings, her hair down, her eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. She handed me a glass of wine and sat beside me on the couch. For a while, we just sipped in silence, the air charged with everything left unsaid. Finally, she spoke. "I didn't sleep." "Me neither," I admitted. Her gaze lowered to her glass. "This feels dangerous." I leaned closer. "It is. But it's already happening." She set her glass aside. "Then let's stop pretending it's not." When we kissed this time, it wasn't frantic. It was deliberate. Slower. Deeper. A choice rather than an accident. And when she finally pulled me into her bedroom, everything felt like a dream. Afterward, as I rested with my head against her chest, she teased softly, "Are you going to get addicted to me?" I smiled against her skin. "I already am." And I meant it. After that night, we began seeing each other outside of her office. No more professional walls between us. At her place or mine, we found comfort in stolen hours together. Every evening felt like opening a floodgate. All the tension we had held back for weeks poured out freely now, not only in passion but also in laughter, late-night talks, and the kind of closeness that felt impossible to resist. She brought out a side of me I didn't know existed. I had been cautious, reserved, afraid of being too much. But with her, I wasn't afraid anymore. With her, I could be loud, vulnerable, even messy, and she didn't just accept it. She cherished it. One night, as we sat curled up together, she whispered, "You have no idea how long I've wanted this. Every week you looked at me like you were starving, and I had to pretend I wasn't hungry too." I met her gaze, breathless. For the first time, we both admitted it aloud. We weren't pretending anymore. And we both knew we couldn't stop. She had unlocked something wild in me, something I never wanted to put back in a cage. Later, as we lay together on the rug, still catching our breath, she gently brushed my hair back and looked into my eyes. "I think I'm falling for you," she whispered as if the words frightened her. I reached out, touched her cheek and said softly, "Then fall." She blinked, surprised, like she hadn't expected me to say that. But I wasn't going to play games, not with her. This wasn't just about attraction anymore. Never really was. It was about us, something deep, raw, and real. And even though I knew we were crossing lines we couldn't uncross, I didn't care. Because I never wanted to stop. Not with her. Weeks passed. Then months. Whatever arrangement we had in the beginning grew into something more messy, complicated, but also beautiful. I stopped pretending it was casual. She stopped pretending she didn't care. We slipped into routines that felt like a life together. Mornings where she pressed a kiss to my forehead before I left for work. Evenings where I cooked while she read on the couch in one of my oversized shirts. Quiet Sundays spent wrapped in blankets, the air carrying the soft scent of us. But beneath it all, there was still tension, a risk we hadn't truly faced. One night, I finally asked, "Do you ever worry it's going to fall apart?" She paused, her fingers tracing idle circles against my skin. "Every day," she admitted. "Then why are we still doing this?" I whispered. Her eyes lifted to mine, steady and full of truth. Because not doing it would hurt more. We both understood the weight of what we had. She had risked her career, her reputation, even her sense of order, just to choose me. And I had let her reach into the deepest part of me, a place I never thought anyone could touch. It began with frustration, with longing I couldn't explain. But in the end, it became something undeniable. She didn't just help me through my restlessness. She helped heal the part of me that felt unseen and unworthy. And I realized I didn't need sessions anymore. I needed her. So I stayed. Not because I was desperate, but because I was in love.
Share your story. Have an LGBTQ+ experience, or a heartfelt fictional lesbian story. We'd love to hear it. Your privacy is respected, but if you'd like a shout out, just let us know. Send your story to heartbeattales.001@gmail.com and be part of a community that celebrates love in all forms. Thanks for listening to GL Stories. We love hearing from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what you thought of today's story. Your feedback helps us create even better content. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to turn on notifications so you're the first to catch our new episodes. See you in our next stories.